So welcome everyone, and appreciate you being here. You're probably wondering why I have a baseball cap on. I'm naming the team. She said I can't. Actually, I took a pledge last fall for Wichita to be a play ball city. And the play ball cities, once you take that pledge, comes with a certain amount of responsibility beyond wearing a baseball cap on opening day. So they sent me this wonderful baseball cap of my team, the Kansas City Royals, to wear on opening day, which is obviously today. But we're also took a pledge that will bring more attention to some youth sporting events. They like the fact that we have League 42 in our city that brings opportunities for inner city kids to play baseball, and that league will be kicking off very soon. I know Brandon's been helping them with some of their activities. I've seen some posted. Daryl, you're probably helping with some of that.
I'd like to.
We're going to put you on the spot and commit. So Bob Lutz, Daryl has committed to helping with League 42 because Bob watches all of these. And so it's a great initiative to continue to help bring America's favorite pastime to fruition and giving kids an opportunity to participate in that. And so we are officially a play ball city now. And so we want to continue to bring attention to that. Today we have a day of free health care that we want to talk about. I shouldn't say today, we're announcing today a day of free health care. Obviously, it's incredibly important for those that need health care to get health care, and there's too many that still battle a number of issues without health care. And so that's why the city's joining with Wichita State University and other related nonprofit providers participating at Via Christi Health's medical mission at home. A day of free health care that will take place from 9:30 to 3 p.m. on Saturday, April 14th at Mueller Aerospace Magnet Elementary School at 2500 East 18th. Services will include medical care and testing for dental, vision, hearing screening, foot care, connections to follow-up care, education about other needed community services and resources. Last year, there were more than 500 clinical and non-clinical volunteers helped make Via Christi's first medical mission at home, a day of free healthcare mission, a great success. So here to talk about that is Charity Clark on behalf of Via Christi. And Charity, I'm just going to turn it over to you before we have a few other folks speak. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited this morning to share with you that we have over 800 volunteers and 50 plus community organizations that have signed up to help serve according to our mission to help those most in need in our community. And overall, the goal of the medical mission at home, free day of health care, is to go out into the community, to meet with those individuals who face barriers to health care, to provide free services that day, like the mayor said, all the way from medical exams, dental screening, hearing screening, vision screening. We have a pharmacy on site, a lab on site, a lot of new services this year that include lead testing, breast exams. We're very excited about the services that will be provided. And we want to connect with people. We want to provide them, ultimately provide individuals the connection to the resources after that day to receive care ongoing. We know that many in our community face those gaps in healthcare where they may not meet the age or income requirements for programs such as Medicare or Medicaid, and they may not be able to afford healthcare coverage on their own. So what we want to do is we want to help them before they prolong seeking care and become very ill. That day, we understand that access to affordable health care can be very overwhelming. And on the 14th, what we want to do is meet with individuals and connect them to the services ongoing. There's nothing to do we don't have any pre-registration, so we invite all ages. Everyone's welcome to come out and connect with us on April 14th. Thank you.
That's awesome. So also we have Ted Ayers here to talk a little bit about Wichita State's participation. So Ted, let me invite you up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning. I want to start my brief comments with a statement that was made at last year's inaugural event on April 8, 2017. And one of the participants spoke on camera and said, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And we all, I think, can agree with the absoluteness of that statement. And so Wichita State University is very pleased to be able to participate and be involved in this second mission, medical mission at home. Initially, I want to applaud, congratulate, and recognize Via Christi. Under Charity's leadership and so many other folk from Via Christi, they have done and are doing a wonderful job of planning and programming this event. It is part of their mission, and they deserve all the credit for getting this started and keeping the effort going. I also want to recognize and thank the City of Wichita for its participation, both with regard to volunteers and facilities. And I see my friend Camila Alexander over in the front row, Councilman Johnson, and want to thank them for their great effort in moving us forward. Last year we were in Fairmount Park, this year we're at Mueller, and that gives me the opportunity to thank USD 259 for cooperating and working with us so willingly. Finally, I'll recognize my colleague and friend Darrell Carrington, who's the community liaison for Wichita State University and has been actively involved in the planning and working to carry this event off. You know, last year we served over 200 people, I believe, and we're hoping for much more this year. And part of that volunteer group that Charity mentioned, this is a wonderful opportunity for Wichita State students, faculty, and staff to participate, be involved. We had hundreds of volunteers from Wichita State last year, and I expect that the numbers will be likely, again, that high. And special recognition and thank goes particularly to our College of Health Professions, Dean Sandra Bribb, and Dean Elledge from the Advanced Education and General Dentistry program. Applied learning for, and again, the volunteers are not limited to the College of Health Professions, but for those young students who are part of programming at the college, what a great way to continue your learning, to outreach and serve a community that is in great need and to provide services that are extremely important. So again, on behalf of Wichita State University, we're very happy to be partnering with so many organizations and the city and certainly Via Christi. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ted. And for those of you that don't know, Ted Ayers' retirement has been greatly exaggerated. He's busier now than he's ever been. And so I also want to bring up our bright, shining star of a council member, Councilmember Johnson. Why don't you come up?
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank our community partners, Wichita State and Via Christi, for helping ensure that those who need a little help in our community have access to the services that they need. I do believe keeping our community healthy benefits everyone, and the health and wellness and vitality of our city is measured in the quality of wellness of most of our vulnerable and at-risk citizens. I think that when we work together to raise others up, we definitely all benefit from that. And we know that there's a need here in Kansas for health care, and I hope that in the future, we have a future where no one really needs help getting medical care. But until then, we're happy to partner and work to make sure that those who need assistance get it. I also want to encourage those who live in 67214 and 67208 zip codes to check their mailbox for a postcard about the event, and for anyone with questions about the event to give a call over to Atwater at 316-387-3745. 303-8016, or go to the Via Christi website for this, which is viachristi.org/medical-mission, again, to get more information about April 14th. Last year's event was a great event, and I'm looking forward to this year's event, which I know will be even better. And again, if you have healthcare needs, I want to encourage you to come out to this, get screened, get checked, get the help that you need, because there could be something going on that maybe you've delayed that you really need some help on. So definitely please come out to this event on April 14th.
Thank you, Councilmember. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Make sure you tell Bob Lutz Darrell is volunteering. So before we get to Cindy Carnahan and how she's going to help make downtown pretty, I want to bring up Troy Houtman and have him talk about our parks. Special programming you're doing.
Sure, that'd be great. Well, thank you, Mayor. In honor of opening day of baseball, I wore my baseball tie.
That's awesome.
So it was a very important day for Parks and Recreation as well. And we've been working with Bob Lutz and League 42. We actually ended up putting about $400,000 worth of improvements to those fields and getting ready for their opening day, which is going to be happening in about a month. So we're pretty excited about that. Another thing that I'm really interested in sharing with you all is that in the next 3 nights, we're going to be doing a great event at Chester I. Lewis Park. It's also known as Reflection Square. And the event that we're doing is called Light Up Reflection Square. We received a grant from the Community Foundation. It was called, it was a challenge to the community to bring up the community. And so a lot of different folks from across the area of downtown Wichita have been putting on events. And the Parks and Recreation Department wanted to do something at Chester I. Lewis Park, also known as Reflection Square. So for the next 3 nights, we're going to be doing some events over there. It's a great little spot right off of Douglas, not too far from the pop-up park. We put in some new furniture there. We also made some repairs to the infrastructure there as well. During these evenings, we're going to have a cookout tonight. We're going to have some free hot dogs. There's also, it's closed off, and we're also going to be having the opportunity for people to purchase beer and have a picnic out there. Tomorrow, we're going to be having a slideshow and also kind of giving some history in regards to the Dockham Sit-In. As you all know, there is a sculpture there that is a replica of the Dockham restaurant, and there's some history behind that as well, and so we're going to be honoring that and educating folks about that as well. And then on Saturday night, we're going to be doing a black and white film. It's from the 40s, and so just a retro film of some great history about Wichita. So a little bit different than what you typically see at our parks, but 3 nights in a row, a great opportunity for anybody to come downtown. We hope the downtown residents will come down and check it out, but it's also for anybody throughout the city to come enjoy this. So thanks for the opportunity.
That's perfect. Thank you. So for those of you that don't believe there's anything to do in Wichita, you're just not looking hard enough, because there's something all the time. So obviously it's springtime and planting season is just about upon us, and I'm going to bring up Cindy Carnahan, the passionate, talented gardener who won't let me do any planting, but she said I can carry the bags or something like that. Cindy, why don't you come up and talk about what you're doing?
Well, first of all, I want to deputize you as a deputy for the Flowers on Douglas.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Get out here where people,
You're going to look good in it.
you're going to get me a flowered hat or something to go with it.
Maybe hats this year. Thanks for having me today. Flowers on Douglas has grown. So we started off with 113 planters provided by the city of Wichita. And I sold Jeff Fleur his house, and so Jeff said to me when I told him that we needed some beautification in downtown Wichita, he said, well, actually, the city has purchased 113 planters, and now they're yours. I said, oh, okay, so I get to figure out what to put in them. So it's been quite a road, and it's been so much fun. We have 20 master gardeners that donate their time to plant 3 times a year in those planters. So you'll have something beautiful in them at all times. I've had people stop me and say they feel safer in Wichita and downtown Wichita on the streets just because of those big planters being up and down the streets. The planters go from Washington to Main Street on both sides of the street. This year we will have 84 hanging baskets from Washington to Main. And Treetop Nursery has given us a wholesale price on all the baskets. The women of Wichita have purchased all the baskets as well as the plant material to go in those baskets this year. And West Star Energy has kicked us off with a nice pledge for this year to water the plants. We do not need volunteers. Planting the pots is really pretty simple, and we have master gardeners to do that for free. What we do need is money. It costs a lot of money to water those plants. To give you an idea, the 113 pots took 3.5 hours a day, almost 7 days a week when it's really hot, to water and fertilize. That's why they looked good all year long. They were out there in the winter watering when it was a nice day so that we could keep things alive. We did have some loss due to too cold, too dry, but by and large, everything made it through the winter. So what we need is money. We need money to be able to buy plants, and we need money to be able to water. The hanging baskets will have to be watered every single day, 7 days a week. Whether it rains or not, it makes no difference. So 2 people, 7 days a week. We have an all-terrain vehicle that we purchased that is used by the Hine Lawn and Landscaping Company that is responsible for watering and fertilizing the plant material. That takes 2 people. So if you add it up, it's going to take 7 hours, 7 days a week to water the plants. So it's going to cost a lot of money. And that's what we need. We need some money, and all of you have now been deputized, so if you see anyone that decides to put their cigarette out in one of the planters or decides to pull out a plant, please stop them and ask them to please respect the flowers and leave it alone. So we've had so much fun. This has been the most exciting project I've ever been a part of, and I'm thrilled to be able to champion Flowers on Douglas. flowersondouglas.org. You can, it's 100% deductible to make a contribution, and no contribution is too small. If you love the flowers, please make a contribution. flowersondouglas.org. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Probably a good idea that I don't get to plant. I use a lawn care service now because I made the mistake one time of spraying some weeds, and my wife said, "Why do we have all of those brown circles all over our yard?" And I mistakenly grabbed some lawn killer. So she allowed us to use a lawn service company now. Who knew? Thank you. So we appreciate it. Sticking to the theme of growing and budding out, our mowing ordinance is getting ready to kick into effect, and we will continue to encourage and urge citizens to be the eyes for our community when you see property that's been neglected and abandoned and the grass is too high. We don't have the staff any longer that can get out and drive neighborhoods like we used to be able to do. And so we encourage those. We have an app that you can pull up and use on your smartphone. You can call City Hall. We make it easy for you to help us keep our city beautiful. And so it's not offensive at all if you call in and say, look, there's a field that needs to be mowed. Our park staff will be out there again, making sure that our parks are in the best shape that they can be in, and looking forward to another great year. So Troy, thank you and your staff for what you do, and truly appreciate all of the events that you put on that probably deserve more recognition than they get. So we encourage all of that. Use the app. It's convenient. If not, call Megan. I can give you her cell phone here in a minute. So another reminder, April is a burn ban. We are under a burn ban for the month of April imposed by the state of Kansas. And so new open burn permits will not be issued during the month of April, and no current permit holders will be allowed to conduct open burns after March 31st, 2018. Bailey, are you talking about this one? Oh, you're going to be talking about ozone, which is related. All right. So the burn ban includes all open burning of any waste, vegetation, wood waste, structures, or other materials on any premise. Questions regarding the burn ban and fire safety in general should be directed to the office of Sedgwick County Fire Marshal at 316-660-3473 or Megan's cell phone of, never mind. Ozone season. Bailey, you want to come up and save me before Megan gets on me too much? Why don't you talk about ozone season?
So I'm just going to speak briefly. Ozone season did begin on March 1st. So in addition to the April burn ban, we want to encourage the community to take other actions to help reduce ozone forming emissions. During ozone season, residents and businesses are asked to take steps to reduce emissions that create ozone. The more actions taken, the more likely the community is able to keep ozone levels low. Here are some of the actions you can take. Share a ride, walk, or bike. Ride the bus. Fuel when it's cool after 6 p.m. Also, save any errands that you might need to run or any chores that you might need to do, such as mowing or painting, until later in the evening as well. Take your lunch to work to avoid driving during the hottest part of the day. Also, we promote the reduction of idling. So turn your vehicle off whenever it makes sense, like when you're picking your kids up from school or even when you're waiting at a railroad crossing. We encourage you to turn the key. We also like to remind people that this is a great time of year to park your car and walk inside. The weather's beautiful, so whenever you have the opportunity to park and walk inside at restaurants, banks, pharmacies, we encourage you to do that too, because it's going to reduce those ozone forming emissions. We also talk a lot about quit fueling at the sound of the click. So when the pump clicks, we're often really tempted to continue to fuel, to top off our tank or round to the next dollar, and we just ask you to resist the urge. Topping off your tank releases ozone-forming emissions into the air. And then lastly, try to conserve energy at home and work. So if you're stepping away from your desk for a few minutes, turn your monitor off. Remember to unplug those countertop appliances when you're leaving your home. All of these actions are everyday behaviors that we can change, and it only takes a few of them to make a big difference. The lower our ozone levels are, the better air quality is for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailey. So we will end there and open up for questions that you might have for any of the folks that came today. I know I'm looking forward to the day of free health care. That's a tremendous amount of volunteers that you have been able to gather up for a great opportunity. And I'm going to guess that they're not going to be as tough on your patients as my doctor sometimes is. He kind of chews me out for a couple of my vices, but we won't get into that. But he's a great doctor. I guess he wants to see me continue. Any questions?
In honor of opening day, is there any update on the stadium and/or a team for said stadium?
So no ability to name the team yet, but I can tell you that there were two significant events that took place in the past week that helped us save baseball. So one, star bonds were threatened, and we were a little worried. That's our revenue stream to build a stadium. The reality is, if star bonds would have been eliminated, there would have been no need to continue any further discussion because we would not have had the resources to build a new stadium. But the state has saved star bonds, and in fact, they've put an amendment in there that will help protect the stadium itself, even if star bonds is dramatically altered, and so we're thankful for that. And then there was a piece of legislation at the federal level that would have potentially killed baseball from coming to Wichita. And it dealt with the wages of minor league baseball players. And again, an amendment was added that protected minor league baseball as it exists today in terms of the contracts that they pay out. And so we were a little worried about that, and having that get past us now allows us to come back, and we're getting really close. Still will require the commissioner of minor league baseball to review all of the documents and obviously pass judgment on the opportunity for baseball to come here. And that hasn't taken place yet, so we are not quite to that process yet. But eventually, the commissioner of minor league baseball will be the deciding factor on if this comes. But both of those events that happened this past week, both of those events could have ended any discussion about baseball, because we were obviously needed a revenue stream. And the other thing, so what they were talking about doing is if a player signs a contract for, throw out a number, $50,000, but he put in more time in a week, whether it's practice or a doubleheader or whatever, minor league baseball would have had to pay that player overtime. And so that would have raised the cost of baseball to the point where many of the baseball owners were saying, we'll just shrink. We won't be able to expand our opportunities to play minor league baseball because of the cost of it. And I would encourage some of you to maybe Google the article, because it will impact independent leagues. And so there's some good articles that have been put out just this week regarding independent baseball, and because it will obviously impact that. It doesn't impact the salary range on minor league baseball, but I think what it's going to do is force independent leagues now to come up to the salaries of minor league baseball. And that could be very detrimental for most of the independent baseball leagues in the country. In fact, one analyst said that he thinks that independent baseball will go away because of this legislation that just passed. So, which encourages to do even more in terms of bringing a new team to town. But thanks. Anything else? Thank you again for coming. We appreciate the opportunity to provide some updates, and appreciate Councilmember Clendenin coming in after we're finished.